We got Blaydes Lewis. Now, Curtis Blaydes taking on Derrick Lewis, hence the name. And this is pretty much to see if Blaydes can just stay on. I mean, they're just keeping the dude active. He's in one of those spots where they say you got to win. You got to win a bunch in a row, and once you win a bunch in a row, you eventually, in theory, get to fight for a title. Curtis Blaydes is one of those guys where they're just like, we got nothing for you, man. So you're just gonna have to keep fighting and keep winning until you don't, and then we'll say, well, back of the pack, buddy. What do you think about that main event?
It's a dope fight. It's a great main event. I mean, I'm not going to throw number one contender on it because it's not, but it is a fight between like top three heavyweights. That being said, obviously Curtis Blaydes in just the most roughest of spots, two knockout losses to Ngannou, who is above him, who's going to be fighting for the belt, and then already announced that John will fight the winner. So Curtis Blaydes is looking down the barrel of, for sure, not fighting for the belt this year. So at the earliest, Curtis Blaydes could hope to fight for the heavyweight belt next year. So with that in mind, it's February. This dude's like, what am I going to do? Right? Okay. So Derrick Lewis, this fight was booked last year. It was postponed. Here we go. The problem, it's not a problem, but the thing with this fight is it's going to go one of two ways, really. There's not too much of the imagination to be used here. Curtis Blaydes has been very open, as he should be, in his game plan of, look, I'm a wrestler. I'm here to win fights and win money, and my wrestling's great. And these other guys' wrestling isn't. And so I'm just going to use my wrestling to beat these guys and to win my money. Sometimes that's really boring, and it doesn't always make the boss happy. But guess what? Curtis Blaydes has never met that boss, so he doesn't care.
We'll get to that. We'll get
He
to
is
that.
here to get paid, and so it's a fact. I mean, I would bet so much money on this that this fight looks like Curtis Blaydes going out there and wrestling every minute of every round, and Derrick Lewis trying to stuff takedowns, or once being taken down, trying to just stand up and trying to throw haymakers and get the knockout blow. Derrick Lewis was taken down and wrestled and submitted in the second round by DC. With that being said, I just don't see the same submission abilities out of Curtis Blaydes. I'm not expecting him to be able to submit Derrick Lewis, but I am expecting him to be able to take Derrick Lewis down and beat him up on the ground, much like he did Volkov for 5 whole rounds, if not finishing him.
Yeah, and that's kind of a depressing thing for Derrick Lewis in this fight because he has been improving. He is willing to exchange on the ground lately and moves as well as a dude with just a totally destroyed back hand move on the ground. But yeah, it's the inevitable. That's how you feel about this fight. Is just an inevitable force is just going to overtake Derrick Lewis more than likely. Granted, he has a stoppage win over Alexander Volkov. So obviously, when he throws them bungalows and they connect,
Oh yeah,
we got something to write about.
and Curtis Blaydes has shown he can get knocked out if you hit his chin with big power. That's a fact. Derrick Lewis could absolutely knock out Curtis Blaydes if he gets sloppy, for sure.
Now,
But that's one of the two ways. Yeah.
Yeah, is this a fight Derrick Lewis may want to throw his body into the air and maybe throw a knee behind that? Although a lot of his jumping attacks are much like a Melvin Gillard, who would just launch his whole person into the air with no exact target as to like what he's trying to connect with. You just jump at the person and maybe something happens. Yeah, I'm interested in this fight. I'm interested. Really, the story about Curtis Blaydes is like he is a young heavyweight, and it seems like they're doing their best to make it so that by the time he actually fights for titles, he won't be that anymore.
I do believe, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain Curtis Blaydes is the only top 10 heavyweight that's in his 20s still.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
there is at least in their 30s or 40s. And a lot of those guys at the very top of the division are looking at retirement. You're looking down the barrel of like just a couple more years on Stipe, 1 to 2, 3 tops on Stipe. That's a career. It's so exciting, man, to get John up there. That's going to be, I'm very, very excited about John at heavyweight. That is just going to be a wonderful time.
Unfortunately, Jones is going to Jones. And so his latest statement is he actually hasn't moved on it. He is speaking out of both sides of his mouth as a Jones, John Bones Jones is known to do. He has been hyping his heavyweight debut. He's been talking about how he's never going back to 205 pounds. And then as it's starting to heat up, the specter of a heavyweight John Jones is becoming more and more solid. It was a tweet or an Instagram post pretty much saying like, hey, I'd love to fight for the UFC again, but if those numbers aren't right, I may not.
Of course, that's what he's going to do. He's playing the money game. He said after the Reyes fight, right? He's like, I've been here. I've collected, 15 world titles. It's not about numbers anymore. I want money. And in all honesty, I mean, you look at those 15 title fights. Not many of them did big numbers. You're looking at like the Cormier fights and the Gustafsson fights, but for the most part, he was fighting a lot of Dominic Reyes's and Thiago Santos's and Glovers that weren't really giving him a lot of money. So he sees at this point in his career, it's time to go. Now, obviously, he's making the power play for money, but we all know what's going on here. We can see on his Instagram, the man is legitimately going up to heavyweight. He's getting big.
He's so big.
He is getting big. He also recognizes Stipe is on the way out. That man's about to be washed out of here in a couple years. Also, with Dana coming out last week and being like, yeah, obviously Dana knows what's going on. Dana is gonna put John versus the winner of that fight, and they'll make money and they'll make it happen. But he knows that there's so much more to be done there because you get John up and throw John into this mix. Like even if Stipe would to beat Francis the second time, you have a huge fight in like heavyweight GOAT versus light heavyweight GOAT and John versus Stipe. And then if Francis knocks out Stipe, you have John's most dangerous fight ever. John has never had a more dangerous fight than a Francis at heavyweight that had just knocked out Stipe. So oh my God, the possibilities there are endless. But that's what sucks though, right? All this icing on this cake. Curtis Blaydes is stuck in the middle of this cake somewhere where all this action's going on up at the top. And I mean, look at the situation you're in with those three guys, Stipe, Francis, and John. Even after John comes and fights the winner, you're looking at any kind of potential rematches or a round robin of all three of those guys, right? Curtis Blaydes is sitting here on the outside being like, yo, look, I'm taking out every numbered contender in this division. What's up? What's the deal? So it's like, man, I don't know. He's not on Dana's good side. He doesn't have these performances that are making people be like, man, I want to see that guy fight for the title. And I think the only way that Curtis Blaydes actually does get a title shot is if one person rolls with that heavyweight belt. It doesn't change hands. If Stipe defends against Francis and then beats John Jones, and then he's like, keep the train going. Next, Curtis Blaydes. Or if John gets it from the winner and then is like, I want just to keep defending the belt of heavyweight. What's next? But it's not looking good. Cards are not in Curtis Blaydes' favor.
I mean,
It's almost guaranteed he's going to have to fight again this year. So it's like, he's going to have to fight another heavyweight this year.
Yeah, he's going to fight the winner of, hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves and Derrick Lewis's bungalows. All right. Now, the winner of this, we are doing a lot of assuming, and I think we know who we think is going to win. right?
Yeah.
The winner of this is fighting the winner of Rosenstrike and Gone, right? I mean, like, what
Theoretically, yes.
Volkov, maybe, but
It's the thing.
but okay. Listen, we have the rest of the main card here. It is a fight night card, clearly.
In all honesty, I don't have much to say about any of the rest of the fights on that main card.
I mean, listen, all right, listen, we got some intriguing matchups on the prelims, and if you want to see more about the prelims, you go to filmfightfreaks.com. You look up the prelim predictions, which will be out Friday, I think.
Oh,
Friday. I'm locking it in. Friday.
locked in.
Um, oh yeah, here's the. Actually, I forgot about the. How these 23 slides of heat. I completely forgot that this was slide number
It's so
4.
weird. There's so many better fights on the prelims than on that main
Yeah,
card. It's
yeah,
strange the way they lay those out. It's very
for
odd to me.
real, for real. And there's actually 3 more underneath these that I did not mention. Rafael Alves and Pat Sabatini should be really fun. Uh, and then yeah, like dude, there's in addition to name value, which a lot of these fights have, like just pure action. Drakkar Close versus Luis Pena, like no way that isn't really fun.
That is going to be a banger. That should be opening the main card. I mean,
Of
good
course it
God. It's
should.
just like in the middle of the prelims. It's not even the main event. It's crazy to me. That is such a banger of a fight.
Yeah. And you cannot, like we were saying earlier, you can't afford to put Andrei Arlovsky against a young upstart. You can't do it. You can't put it on the main card. Never do it. Don't do it again. Listen, you also have Eddie Wineland fighting for his one time of the year, how that he's been known to do, against John Castaneda, which I can't really speak too much on that because that's the one I left off on when I was working on him today. But I already know. I didn't even have to break down Drakkar Close, Luis Pena to know that that's going to be super fun.
Oh, yeah.
Rafael Alves, if you've never watched him fight, do yourself a favor and watch his bout in the Contender Series. He was on week 4, I believe. I was just watching it today. He's super explosive, really fun, throws caution to the wind. He's ready to rock. Yeah, I cannot wait to see him. Julian Aroja and Nate Landwehr. That's another one that has the propensity for high pace violence. Super, super excited for that fight. Jared Gordon, I've heard that name. Danny Chavez, not sure I've heard that name, but they look like they could have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Derrick Gordon, I've actually watched the whole documentary on for some reason.
what was the documentary called?
It was the UFC thing. It was when they put together like a 5-part. Each episode was an hour, and it was behind the scenes of the first trip to Fight Island. And the first like 3 episodes were just following Jared Gordon, and I learned so much about that guy. It was very strange. Yeah, he got in all kinds of trouble on that. There was a reason why they were following him. He went through it in that first Fight Island thing.
Wait, he
But,
got in trouble?
huh?
He got in trouble?
Yes, he got in trouble for like bringing COVID and spreading it to a whole bunch of people though, and
Okay, I was gonna say if we had another like James Bond-esque mystery
oh,
bag
it wasn't a
room.
mystery bag. No, it
Okay,
was he got
okay.
into all kinds of other mischief. But it's a whole documentary. You can look it up on the ESPN Plus, but it's I don't remember what it's called, like like UFC Discovery or some nonsense like that. But it's all about behind the scenes of the first Fight Island trip and some of the crazy stuff they went through. He actually got Megan O'Leary was very angry. They interviewed her. She was very upset with Jared Gordon after that. But
Dude,
yeah, it was a
that's
wild
cool.
time.
I would love to see a mad Megan O'Leary.
She was fired up for whatever reason.
Yeah. Wait, Ogan. Sorry, I don't have any of these heaters of a slide about how he spread COVID to everyone. Did he know he had COVID?
Okay, it's a whole thing. He was like he was an anti-masker person, right? So he's like,
Uh,
I'm not wearing a mask. And they were like, they go on the plane and they're with all these people, and he's like taking pictures with everybody and he's pulling them all in, and then they get to Fight Island and they're like, you tested positive. And then like everybody's like, damn it, you almost just screwed this up for all of us, Jared Gordon. And then they're all very furious with him. And it leads to all kinds of mayhem and stuff. He was running around with that was you remember he that was he his whole team tested positive, and he had to have Paul Felder leave the table to come corner him because he didn't have a corner. Right, that was that whole situation.
okay. All right. Yeah. So we already brought up a little bit from these next few slides, and it's I have multiple sagas in this slideshow. The first one, Curtis Blaydes willing to clean out the division to get a title, still expects the GOAT, Stipe Miocic, to be champion. So he predicts that by the time he gets to the championship, Stipe will still be there as champion, which, even if that's correct, no one at the top, with the exception of Ngannou, wants to fight Curtis Blaydes.
That's,
Not a single one of them. And they will not.
and the thing that's so backwards about that, the one guy that Francis that probably like, yeah, sure, I'll fight him again, has already beat him twice. And so, like, if Francis gets the belt, the UFC will never book Francis versus Curtis Blades 3. Never. They would never do it. He better
Uh,
hope that Stipe wins.
so we know that Curtis Blades has he has tempered the way he speaks, like he has spoken about this camp, because if we remember, he talked a lot leading into his showdown with Alexander Volkov, and this is what the boss had to say: "You look stupid." I'll read the whole quote. I
Mhm.
like Curtis Blades, but Curtis Blades has the wrong attitude as far as I'm concerned. I don't have anything against the kid at all, but when you talk shit like he talked this week, you better come in and whoop somebody's ass when you talk shit like that. When you talk the shit that he did and perform like he did tonight, you look stupid. Yeah, he won. He talked a lot of shit. I don't think you talk the shit. Jesus Christ, Dana. There's no, you don't need, we know what you're talking. God damn it. I, I don't think you talk the shit he talked this week and come in and perform like that. He's talking about ragdolling people and he's not getting paid and yada yada. He should be getting a title shot. He gassed out of the end of the third, made it to the fifth, and he won the fight. Yeah, he won. Now,
Yeah, he won.
Curtis Blades reveals he's never spoken to Dana White. So he had his own response to his last showing, which is ESPN Plus 11, where, according to Dana, yeah, he won. Um, this was the biggest nugget of this whole interview. Blades revealed that he had never had personal conversation with White. Thus far, their interactions have been limited at most. I have never actually spoken to Dana, not in person. I don't think he follows my Instagram. I know he doesn't have my phone number. I was surprised he even spoke up after the fight. I didn't even think he knew who the hell I was at that point. Of course, you want to be cool with the boss, but I also understand he likes guys who give some highlights. I've got to add some highlights to my resume, and maybe we'll have a drink or two one day.
It's like,
What the
I
hell,
mean,
Brad? He's a top five
how
heavyweight in the world.
how insane is that? How crazy is it that he would get to be like a top 3 heavyweight contender in the world in the UFC? I mean, think how many times he's fought in the UFC, and he has never actually had a conversation with Dana White before. I mean,
Not once.
that's pretty shocking to me, but it also like tells you everything you need to know about Curtis Blades' current situation. Dana has been like this with certain people over the years. Um, Curtis Blades is a type of person that I feel like they will Jake shields him in the sense that like the moment he loses 2 in a row, they'll just cut him, even though he's like an elite heavyweight in the world, like still ranked in the top 5. They'll just be like, we're done. We don't. They will look for any excuse to be out of the Curtis Blaydes business because they don't seem very invested in him whatsoever.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it seems like a pretty good way to get a quarterfinal spot in the 2022 Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix.
We'll
So
discuss that. I got
yeah,
plenty of thoughts on that later.